done?
Joe, we think it's just getting started. As we expected, Bitcoin saw this high volatility pump after the election. We're now in blue sky territory, no technical resistance, and we think we're likely to make repeated all-time highs over the next 2 quarters. The same pattern played out 4 years ago. Between the election and the end of the year in 2020, Bitcoin doubled. There were about 10% corrections, so it's not going to be a straight line, but we're up 30% so far, and a number of indicators that we track are still flashing green for this rally to continue. This is a state change in terms of government support. Look at this cabinet: the VP, Attorney General, Director of Defense, National Security Advisor, possibly even the Secretary of Treasury being pro-Bitcoin. That's not including Elon and VanEck. So the number of calls that I'm getting inbound from investment advisors who are at 0 and looking to get to 1%, or at 1% and looking to get to 3%, these calls are starting to accelerate, and we think the flows are going to follow. So our price target for this cycle is 180K. We think we can reach that next year. That would be 1,000% return from the bottom to the peak this cycle. That's still the smallest Bitcoin cycle by far.
And double from here, basically. You look at weird things, Matthew, like, so you Google search for Bitcoin is one of the things. So you would expect, if we were getting toppy, you would expect that was off the charts, and it's not yet?
Google searches are nowhere near where they were 4 years ago. Coinbase's rank in the Apple and Android app stores, nowhere near where it was 4 years ago. Look at the internals of the derivative markets, what it costs for funding to put on Bitcoin futures trades. You know, it's up, but once we get into this price discovery mode, it tends to stay elevated for quite some time.
What if Gensler's gone, as Trump said on day one, or someone said on day one? I mean, I could imagine that. I don't know when, though, it actually becomes a sell on the news, because I don't know. Maybe I'm just think that it's more of a mania move now than it actually is. But it just seems like it's been a heck of a move. Think it'll move when Gensler's gone, if he's gone?
Yeah, I think, you know, maybe the disappointment phase will set in 1 to 2 quarters after the inauguration. Okay. There's really 4 major impacts here. Okay. You know, one is just the positive impact on dynamism when you stop suing people for breaking rules that have never been written down. That's a long way of saying that regulation by enforcement is going to end. We're already seeing the economic impact of that. There are crypto projects that are announcing that they're going to hold conferences in the U.S. for the first time ever, open offices in the U.S. and New York. It's just great for U.S. jobs and GDP, right? We've got the Bitcoin reserve that would legitimize this asset as a reserve asset, pave the way for it to be used as a global settlement currency, as the BRICS countries have been doing. You know, President Trump recognizes the synergies between Bitcoin and AI. They are 2 sides of the same coin. If you want to have cheap AI, you're going to want to combine it with Bitcoin mining to take advantage of that cheap power.
They're telling me we got, I don't know, Disney, Bitcoin. They're both important, obviously. But we got to get moving, and we got the CFO. But we appreciate your time today, Matt. Thank you.
Now, you know, post-halving and now Bitcoin's becoming a lot more relevant, and I think maybe the regulatory overhang is diminishing, that there's a lot of upside from here.
How much upside, and where else in crypto might there be opportunities? Let's ask someone who's been a perennial first mover in this space. VanEck is the CEO of VanEck Associates. Jan, it's great to have you. And when you're probably asked as much as I am if Bitcoin's going to 100,000 next, what would you say?
Kelly, happy Friday. I think Bitcoin's going to hit all-time highs. It hit them today, and I think it's going further, right? My basic premise is that ultimately Bitcoin's value will be half of that of all the gold outstanding. So you're talking about something like $300,000 for Bitcoin.
Why only half the value? Why not a quarter of the value, or pick some other random number?
Well, because maybe I'm more balanced. I think if I were a Bitcoin maximalist, I would say it would overtake gold. But I think that's like a reasonable base assumption. It's clear, one of the big winners this year is individual investors have really piled into the Bitcoin ETFs. And I think as individuals, as a constituency, they were important in this election. The loss by Sherrod Brown of his Ohio Senate seat, the fact that Trump went to the Bitcoin convention shows that there's a big constituency in the U.S. and hopefully it becomes a bipartisan issue as well, not so one-sided.
There are other ways to play the crypto space. There's stocks like Coinbase. There are the other coins and tokens and things like Ether. Doge now gets a lot of mention. Would you be an advocate of all of that as well?
Well, what I've said, Bitcoin is sort of digital gold to me, and it's a store of value asset. What I've said about Ethereum is don't buy it unless you really understand its business proposition and its competitors, the other databases that might be the rails for crypto. I do think, however, that overall, big picture, stable coins are the new global payment system. And one of the big winners is going to be Ethereum and Coinbase as well. Ethereum's market share kind of bottomed in September. We look at stuff like that. And so it's a little bit of a contrarian play. Ethereum has outperformed over the last several weeks. And I think it's a good entry point actually for Ethereum if you understand the pros and cons of it.
Well, maybe that's a discussion for next time, Jan. We'll leave it there for today. Appreciate you joining us.
Good to see you.
Jan.